Hello and welcome back to Bernama. Today you're with me, Tamina Kalshi, and now I'm coming in with our tech expert, in-house resident in a sense, Kirill Korbut, who is with us here today to share with us all about DSLRs versus camera phones. Which is better and why? Now this is definitely a debate which, forms why you're going to be getting yourself a new phone. It generally is for the new camera, but should you be getting yourself a DSLR instead? Let's see what Kirill has to say. Kirill, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
All right, brilliant to have you back in the studio. Hope you had a good Hari Raya holiday.
Yeah, too good, I think.
Too good. Okay, I think that's all of us, right?
Yes,
I think
yes,
this
yes.
just disguises and covers all the new bumps and lumps. But anyhow, getting into, wow, you've got quite the collection here.
Yep.
Okay, so tell me all about it. Personally, Kirill, you appear to have a DSLR as well as, your phone cameras. Which is your go-to, your all reliable?
Yeah, I think today what we want to talk about is generally for a person, a consumer, when they look at phones nowadays, they say, oh, this is groundbreaking, this has never been done on a camera phone, it captures the real you, so and such. Can you get away with just using a camera phone and not invest in, let's say, a proper camera system? Because you assume, and anyone who picks up a camera like this, like,
right,
he must be good at taking photos.
Supposedly, right?
Yes, and I think I want to highlight the fact that nowadays, I mean, if you look at phones, I mean, I've just got myself a new phone.
All right. Which one is this?
This is the Samsung Galaxy S9, which I think is, at least for Malaysians, I think it's the best camera phone you can buy, and it's the first phone in its, ever in the world that has a variable aperture. That means just like I can change aperture on a DSLR.
But first and foremost, what does aperture mean?
Okay, it means
for
if you can see
the idiot's guide.
Okay, I think it's pretty evident once you look into a lens of a camera.
That's right.
And just like an iris, it can get bigger and smaller.
Correct.
Up until now, smartphones haven't been able to do that. So you cannot take in more or less light. So meaning to say that we've seen technology slowly creeping, it's catching up with what a big camera can do. Because fair to say, the biggest difference is size. If you can see, if I'm gonna chug this around with me all the time, it's not just never going to happen. No matter how much I'm gonna pack, for a trip and everything, it's still not convenient to lug around a huge DSLR. But something like this is always in your pocket. So,
But at the same time, okay, we've got a picture that we're going to pull out so that you can have a look at it to actually demonstrate. Okay, what do these pictures show us?
That's the whole thing. I mean, one is taken with a DSLR, the other one is taken with a smartphone camera. In this case, it's a Samsung Galaxy S9.
Right.
That goes to show in 2018. You can't really tell them apart if you look at it.
Maybe not particularly, right? Yeah. So what about the professionals? Let's say first you've got the everyday user, Kirill. Now the everyday user would definitely, I think, go for the smartphone with the better specs. But what about the professional who would be using a DSLR for work purposes? Why have they also been turning the tide and actually going to smartphones?
Well, you see, you have to look at what kind of professional. I mean, if you're looking at someone who's a video blogger, for example, I think having a smartphone is almost all you need. It's more about the stage, the set. For example, like we're sitting in the studio right now, we have a lot of lights on us.
We do.
We have a lot of things besides the camera itself. So if you can imagine what a good set looks like, I mean, with your eye, I think you can create that with the technology that you're given. And a lot of times, if you look at the quality of these two that we're seeing now, these are some of the most advanced cameras that we see today with some processing as well. They can create the conditions that you want without having to invest too much into the hardware. So meaning to say that anyone now can become a blogger, anyone can become a photographer.
A content creator.
Yes, a content creator. So like it's all in the palm of your hand, literally.
Right.
I think the biggest difference with a DSLR and a handphone is that it's just a bit more modular. You can put on flashes, you can change lenses, you can do a lot of things. But as we see with the Samsung, they're bridging the gap slowly. Professional studios, let's say you have a shoot with 15 people.
Okay.
Are you going to use a DSLR or a smartphone camera? I think we're not there yet. People are not confident enough. But I think if we can do a blind test such as what we did now, you would be surprised at what a smartphone camera can do.
The quality of it, right?
Yes,
now, when it also comes down to daily functionality, a lot of the pictures that we did see used as a comparison, Kirill, were also outdoor shots. Do you have to be some kind of an expert or know all the how-to tips, etc., to make your smartphone camera function as well as a DSLR? Or literally, has it become so easy these days that you just go from factory settings?
Well, I think that's a really good point that you mentioned. I think a good phone, as we expect, is something that takes good pictures just with what push of a button. So if I push, boom, it takes a great picture. I think there's a little bit more to that. To be a good photographer or a content creator, you need to have the eye for it. Meaning to say, you have to understand what is the story I'm trying to say, what is my theme, what is the feeling I'm trying to convey, and how does my picture then go in tune with that. So you could do that. You could be a bad photographer with a great camera. You can be a great photographer with a really bad camera. So it's not so much on the technology. I think it's your ability to see and capture the moment. With a smartphone camera, of course, it's a lot easier because it's always with you. So, you know, if there's a cow running across the street in the middle of a busy traffic, you just go boom and it's there. And you might have missed it. With a big camera, you have to take it up, rig it up, fire on, flash working, everything, and it's gone.
True enough, you know, the essence of the moment. All right, so I think you make great points there. We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll be back right after, still talking about DSLRs, phone cam, which one is best for you. Stay tuned.
Accurate, legitimate, and packed with information. First on site with reports from across the country and around the world. Be in the know through Bernama News Bulletins. Only on Bernama News Channel.
Hello, welcome back to Bernama Today. Still with me, Tamina, and today we are speaking about smartphone cameras versus DSLRs with Kirill Korbut, our tech analyst and expert. So Kirill, as you were saying, now, what are some of the main do's and don'ts of mobile photography, since we are still on the cam phones for now?
You know, I'd like to say some of the things, the first beginner mistakes they do, they expect every picture to be great. And I think it's a lot to do with training your eye to find a good composition. Composition is something that you can find even without using a camera. You can just look at something and say, wow, that's a good scene.
Looks like a good shot.
This tells a story. So I think it's very important. Even, you know, everyone has an Instagram feed, everyone has a Facebook page. Look at your own Instagram feed, look at your own page. What are you trying to say? What is the theme that you're trying to convey? Are you just posting pictures of food all the time, or with you doing stuff, or, you know, so how is this helpful to anyone else that is viewing?
Right.
Because we can't be egocentric all the time and say, like, look what I'm doing, but who's really interested? And for it to be interesting, there must be a theme. There must be some kind of inspiration for them. Wow, I like that. I would like to do the same. So if we can be very clear in terms of our objective when we shoot in mobile photography or DSLRs, we start to have a repeating pattern. And that trains the eye. And I think one of the key things that we want to talk about is a DSLR is great for you to capture. I mean, you're investing, you're getting time. You're going out and actually shooting, which means you're training your eye to see certain things, and you can use that same kind of think or the philosophy and then bring it into mobile photography and still get same results. So I think it's a lot to do with what do you want to get out of these gadgets, because it's sort of saying that just because I buy a great phone doesn't mean my photos are going to become great. So that's number one mistake. Second mistake is learn your camera phone. Meaning to say, different phones have different settings out of the factory. So some will be great, others would need some tinkering with. There's always a pro mode nowadays, which means that you can go in and override most of the camera's artificial intelligence features.
And actually put in whatever your preferences are.
Correct.
Okay.
And understanding what your phone can do and cannot do gives you room for exploration within those boundaries. Because if you expect certain things, like you said, dark, in a dark space, can I take a great photo?
Exactly.
Well, if you have a budget camera like this, which is good, I mean, I'm not saying in good light conditions.
And which cam phone is this one?
This is the new budget king, I would say. This is an Asus Zenfone Pro M1, which only costs about 600 ringgit. And I mean, you get dual lens camera systems.
That's very affordable.
It's crazy affordable. And I think, anyone who's looking to upgrade, nowadays you get a lot of camera for the money.
That's right.
But there's limitations. Meaning
so you were mentioning the dual camera. How does the dual camera system actually work for those who are still not in the know?
Yeah, in certain times it's a gimmick. Certain times it's actually a feature. Like in my other phone, there's only one camera.
Right.
But it's so good that I don't need a second camera. So for example, like bokeh effect, what we're generally simulating is a low f-stop, which means I can get the foreground blurry, and and my face is very clear. You can get that with a good lens, so you don't need a second lens. That's why you've never seen a DSLR with 2 lenses, have you?
No,
No.
I
So
have not.
so in a way, it's kind of a gimmick, but meaning to say that even for a little bit of money, you can get a great camera nowadays. But I would still advise and play around with the pro mode. Spend some time actively looking at, why is this picture good? Why is this picture bad?
Right.
And then
What
analyzing
draws
it.
me
Yeah.
to this
and
picture?
what made you take a good picture? And try to repeat that often until it becomes kind of second nature to you. When you pick up a phone, and just click, and wow, great photo. So that's how you get more likes or more followers and whatnot. But it also helps you to tell your story. So you say, what am I trying to say on social media? Because a lot of times it's just random stuff.
That's right.
And if you look back at the years of content you've generated, it's just a trail.
Now, what's the difference between a trail of content, as you say, and the very curated pictorial heavy Instagram feeds, which a lot of us follow and love? So how do you go from transitioning to being just something, lots of random things, maybe well taken pictures, to something which is thematic, but still not necessarily changing everything that you do?
Yes, I think there's something that excites you. I mean, what am I
Right.
passionate about? For example, it can be exercise for you. It could be structure for me. I'm looking into
Right.
shapes. So I want to see shapes and everything. And I can correlate different things and say, like, same thing. If I look in fitness, it could be the food that you eat, the way that you exercise, the places that you exercise. So it's always coming back to that same spot. Because if you're just doing random stuff, think about it, everyone's doing random stuff.
Very
so
true.
You're not really setting yourself apart. And I think to spend so much time creating content on social media, at least try to make it useful for other
Be
people as
thoughtful.
well. Yeah, because
Yeah.
in the end of the day, if it's just you got 20 likes and it was your friends, and they do that automatically because they're your friends, so no matter what I post, I still post. So I think it's all about capturing a moment. So if you look at the technology itself, it's there. If you see the picture on the screen now, this picture doesn't say anything.
That's
So
right.
We're not
It's a pretty picture.
yeah, we're no longer comparing, like, okay, can I get a better picture with this phone or with the camera? I think it's the effort we put into creating the content in the first place. Like, what am I trying to say?
Right.
If it takes me zero appliances or gadgets or whatever to set up a really good shot with my mobile phone, then go for it. But even if you have the ability to set the stage and get light equipment and everything, then maybe that's the way to go. But
Right. But at the rate that we're going, Kirill, how long do you think it'll be before DSLRs, for example, become fairly obsolete? Or is that already happening in your
well,
perspective?
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to use this professionally. I've actually had a chance. I was working
Right.
on a project where I actually needed a camera and I needed a gimbal because I needed to get
Right.
in a really tight space and shoot something, and I couldn't do it with a big camera. So I had to use it, whether I like it or not. So I need something small, like kind of you can go for GoPro or you can go for a camera phone. It's already there in certain instances. You can use it. However, they're releasing new technology, which is just around the corner, literally just around the corner,
Right.
where there's going to be a modular system that, Motorola already has it, but Red, the makers of the professional cameras, the
That's right.
8K cameras,
Correct.
coming out with a phone that's modular, where you can actually clip on a sort of bracket where you can put your Canon, Nikon, or the DSLR lens onto your handphone.
Oh, wow.
So you're
Okay.
marrying the two.
I think that's really, the Red Cams, they're being very progressive by doing that, taking
Yeah,
that
and it's
step.
not going to cost
Huge.
much either. So I think it's time we stop thinking like, how good of a camera do I need to have? I think like cameras like this. I mean, even
So learn how
in
to
low
use
light. Yes,
whatever
it's
camera
more
you
about
have.
training your eye, because in the end of the day, this is something that is purely logical. I mean, it's sequential. It's a machine. But the creativity must come from your right brain. And the machines don't have a right brain. They only have a left brain. They can compute.
Fair enough. Yep.
So it's good that you take classes, you train your eye, watch YouTube videos, look at pictures of others that you like and see what it is about them that you actually like, because everyone has their own preference, right? So
Absolutely.
by being able to see that is already the first step. The beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? So if you can train yourself to see the beauty in everything, then I think you'll live a much happier life as well, instead of saying, oh my God, that's a great Instagram photo, I wish I could do that. And we've seen cases where people actually Instagram celebrities taking stock photography, it was just last week. and
Exactly. I
putting
think
it
we've
onto
seen
their
more and
feeds.
more of
Yeah,
that.
because
Right.
people are expecting this, I have pressure on me to create good things. But if it comes from the heart, you don't need to. Like anything you do becomes, of value to the people that you're showing it to.
Exactly. So that whole perfection mentality. So at the end of the day, let's boil it down to one big point. Why would you still purchase a DSLR, Kirill?
Flexibility. I think
Options, basically.
yes, to build a scene, I mean, I can change so many things inside a DSLR, which are still fairly static on a mobile phone. But a mobile phone is always for your portability. So I think you need both.
Okay, all right. So thank you so much for that, Kirill. I think that's a
Always a
great
pleasure.
roundup of how you can make your pictures speak more than 1,000 words. I'm Tamina Kavji signing off on Bernama today. We'll see you again next time.